Hello Commanders, and welcome to another Star Trek Fleet Command video. Today we are going to be discussing a little bit more detail the crews that I found effective for the new Texas class hostiles. These are the hostiles you hit as part of the Monavine or the Gilded Pickle loop. Once again, Scopely's humor calling them the Texas class hostiles in this cowboy hat region just to the side of Federation space right there. Okay, so I wanted to talk about crews because I just released a video earlier today talking a little bit about the things that I wish I'd known before I got the Gilded Pickle, the Monavine ship. But I want to talk about crews because I did some testing and I think I found a way, at least with the level of my ship and my ops level, to do this loop a little bit more effectively where I'm not leaving the ship out constantly. There's still going to be some time that will have to be spent, and the frustration of when you hit these hostiles, you're going to lose your shield, which I still don't like. But the basic idea here is how can we get more of these items for our turn-ins? So just to show you real quick the items you have to use, since I've done the turn-ins, I won't show you the numbers until I can do them again tomorrow, but these neural net chips and the active net chip exchange. I've gotten a lot of these active net chips because you get more of those from setting your ship to the system and having the hostile hit you automatically, the hunters as we call them. These neural net chips you're going to get more, some of those in that same fashion, but you're going to get a lot more of them if you're actively hitting hostiles when you're, and you drop your shield. So anyways, these are the ones we're trying to get for the turn-ins. So let's talk about crews a little bit here. And I just sent my ship to the space so we can look at some of the battle logs. We'll talk about in a second. But first off, I want to show one of the hostiles. Now these may be higher than you're currently hitting if you have the ship, or just save this video when you look at it later. The basic idea I want to give you is how I think about it. What's the thought process so you can look at your own crews and figure out and test what works for you, because your crews may be you may have different tiered officers and so forth. But I wouldn't say just go with what I have, but take the basic ideas that I'm going to share with you and you can go from there. So if I hit scan on one of these hostiles, this is the Texas class hostile. It has some cargo here. Okay, if we hit the eye in the middle, we can see the stats of the ship. It has high attack, high defense. What we want to do is we want to, first off, I want you guys to scroll down to this defense section, because this is going to talk about the type of ship and where its strongest points are. And that will tell us where we have to kind of gear our thought process. So we're going to look at armor, deflection, shield deflection, and dodge. Armor is going to typically be for battleships, shield deflection for explorers, and dodge, which is for interceptors. So as you can see, by far, it has the greatest shield deflection, 13.7 million, armor 816,000, same as dodge. So what's the stat that's the highest? It's the shield deflection, and that makes sense. Explorers have higher shields. So since it doesn't have a lot of armor or dodge in comparison, we really need to try and get past that shield deflection as much as possible. Okay, so next thing I want to do is I want to hop over to stfc.space. So here we are at stfc.space. Let me go to the main screen here. It should come up, look something like this. Once again, I'm on my phone recording this, and so what I do, I'll just scroll down a little bit here. A lot of good information here if you guys didn't know, but if you go to hostiles, and I typed in the name Texas, it kept that from my most recent search, I can find these Texas class hostiles. Now, since I was in the 48 system, I'm going to click on that one. And I'll scroll down a little bit, and you can see the same numbers right there for armor, shield deflection, and dodge. Okay, so this is the hostile that we are looking at. I want to point out something here. This is really good information here whenever you're looking at a hostile. Once again, this is my thought process, so please stick with me here. You want to look at the firing pattern. Here it has 3 weapons. The first and second weapon, you have an energy weapon and a kinetic, so it's going to have energy damage and kinetic damage. It's going to fire 3 shots. Both of them will fire 3 shots in each round. One thing to point out here is if you have Hugh and put him below deck, he's going to be pretty effective here because while it doesn't matter how many times each weapon fires, it's the number of weapons that fire per round. In round 1, we've got 2 here. In round 2, we've got 2. In round 3, we've got 2. Every round of those first 2 weapons will have 2 weapons. But I want you to see that in the 4th round, it's going to fire 5 shots from that 3rd kinetic weapon. So we want to destroy the ship before it finishes the 3rd round. That's the key. So in 2 to 3 rounds, 2 is probably preferable. And so that's kind of what we want to look at when we're looking at how high of a system can we hit. Okay, so we're back in the game, and my ship is still being hit by these hostiles. Okay, perfect. So let's go over to the report, and let's look at one of these. And if we go to the battle log, what I did is I did some testing. I did some testing. I started in, say, like the 42 system, went to the 44 system, and I hit a hostile. And I just looked at the report and I looked at it and said, okay, how many rounds has this gone for? This one in particular has gone 3 rounds. When I was hitting the lower systems, it was in 2 rounds, 2 rounds, 2 rounds. So I kept going up, trying to find out where is my best system that I'm hitting. And we'll talk about crews in just a second here. So it doesn't get... It should be firing, let's see here. It should be firing, what was it, 3 shots per weapon. So there's 1, 2, 3 shots, 1, 2, 3 shots, and the round's over. 1, 2, 3 shots, 1, 2, 3 shots, round's over. 1, 2, 3 shots, and then I destroyed it before it had this chance for the second set of 3 shots to go off. So that's the key. You want to be able to knock it out before that second kinetic weapon comes out, or it's going to do a lot of damage. Okay. So here's the crew that I'm currently using. I have got Strange New Worlds Pike, plus 14% to shield mitigation when fighting hostiles, and minus 35% to hostile shield mitigation. My Pike is maxed, and so once again, this may be a little different for you. You'll have to test and see what works. I've got Ortegas. Now, the frequency plating is the one that is going to be triggering here because this is the officer ability. So it's going to increase armor, shield, deflection, and dodge by 14,000% of total health when attacking hostile explorers, which this is an explorer. The Texas-class Sentry is an explorer from a battleship, and I have a battleship here. Montevine, or the Gilded Pickle, is a battleship. I have Hammer here only because he provides synergy. So he's going to add both... Ortegas and Hammer add 5% to Pike's ability with that, the captain's maneuver, the 14% to shield mitigation when fighting hostiles. Let me go out and manage, and we'll click here to see our below deck officers. So 2 of the below deck officers that I have equipped here to help out with this is Hugh, which is the resistant retaliate. He's going to increase your critical hit chance. My Hugh is a tier 3. And Renaissance Man, so this is the EMH Doctor of the Voyager. So he's going to increase all resources dropped by hostiles by 15%. One thing I did test that seemed to work a little bit more effectively is I took off Hammer and I put 5 of 11 in place. And my 5 of 11 is a tier 4, and so I was just increasing the loot I was getting from the hostiles. So when I'm actively hitting the hostiles, or I'm not using 511 somewhere else, I can throw 5 of 11 on here and get some pretty good loot. So I ended up getting about 50,000 when I had 5 of 11 on and I was hitting these 48s. And so what I would recommend to you is find a crew that's going to work for you. I really found that these were the best I could do. I didn't test the Voyager. I'll probably do that next. And the reason I didn't test it is because I want Voyager crew for my armadas. So I'll frequently use Chakotay, Janeway, and either the EMH Doctor. He's on this ship, so I wouldn't use him here. Or in place of that, I would use Torres, B'Elanna Torres. And so I kind of want to save those for that, but typically I've seen better results with using the Strange New Worlds crew for hitting some of these advanced hostiles. Pike Moreau Chen didn't really work well for me. They do a good job about reducing the incoming damage, right? But what we're looking here is we want to take these things out quickly. We get past those first 3 rounds, and we start getting hammered with that second kinetic weapon that's firing 5 shots per round. Okay, in addition to the 3 from each of the other weapons. And so we don't want to get to that point. We want to take it out as quick as we can. If you don't have these officers, one thing you could consider is thinking about these kind of like freebooters, where you need to do as much damage as possible because you want to knock them out quickly. One problem that people like to put on like Gorkon or Lorca for hull breach, because that will increase the critical hit damage that you do. It magnifies that or multiplies it. The problem with that is that because you're trying to take them out in 3 rounds or less, they really don't have much of a chance to proc their skills. Khan takes, he increases the critical damage so much per round if he's hit, or if your ship is hit, but that takes a few rounds for it to build up, even with a max con. So I don't see a lot of value with that. And hull breach, well, you're lucky if it triggers, and if you have a really high tiered Gorkon or a Lorca, it might trigger, but it's not going to have a huge impact. One thing you could do is you could try putting 5 of 11 on as captain, and then since it's shield deflection, you could go with, let me pull this up here. Let's see, where is he? We'll just do by rarity. Sometimes I find the epic officers quicker that way. You go with Marcus. For some reason I wanted to find Alexander Marcus, but it's Marcus in the search there. So his officer ability is that he's going to increase the shield piercing of the ship by, in my case, since he's max, 16,000%. So you could try putting Marcus on there to increase how much is getting through those shields, because remember, you want to get through that and limit how much it's able to stop, so you're getting more that is going to the ship's hull. Another officer that I like, let's see if I can do this by group and find her quickly. When I didn't have Tal for the freebooters, I would use, let's see, where are you? Too many officers. There we go. Picard, Beverly Crusher. Pick Bev. I like her because she can increase the critical hit damage every time your ship is hit. And so, and I guess we should clarify, if the weapon has multiple shots, it's only going to trigger it once. So in the case of the freebooters, in the case of the Texas hostiles, you have the 2 weapons. Each weapon that's hitting your ship is going to increase it by whatever percent you have based upon the tier of your officer, minus 5%. So my critical hit damage for the first 3 rounds is going to increase by 10% for each of the 2, once for each of the 2 weapons that are hitting. So it increases my critical hit damage by 30% by the end of round 3, even 20% by the end of round 2. So pretty good there. And I think that's about it. Bottom line, you just want to do as much damage as possible. So you could go 5-11, pick Bev and Marcus. You could try that, but ultimately you just want to do as much damage as possible. If you're trying to limit your incoming damage and you don't have all the Strange New World officers, Ortegas is going to be your best one to have as captain. If you have Strange New World's Pike, And you can have pike, Ortegas, and whoever. 511 for me is going to be a great one to try. That's probably the best crew, is having all Strange New Worlds officers or having 511 as an officer to increase your loot. So bottom line, we want to get as much as we can out of these hostiles. You want to find, and this section right here, I'm just giving my recommendations, right? So like I said, the Strange New Worlds officers are going to be your best. See what officers you have. I definitely wouldn't go Pike Muro Chen. Find something else. Find those officers that are going to do the damage, get past the shields, and really have as much as you can go to the hull. Okay. And then by doing this, just start out at the lowest system, and then attack a hostile and see what you get. If you're still 1 or 2 rounds, move up a system. Okay, and just keep doing that until you find kind of the sweet spot based upon the tier of your ship and your research. Try and keep this video short to get you the information as quick as possible, but let's hop into the research real quick. We'll talk about the applicable research for hitting these hostiles. So this is research you'll have to focus on if you don't have it already. But let's scroll over in stuff that I would recommend that you work on. Okay, so we get past the Voyager stuff, and here we go. So there's a lot of good stuff here from the Armada credits and the efficiency research. But as far as hitting the hostiles, a couple things you'll want to focus on. This Undercroft reserves will increase the loot that is dropped from either the armadas or the hostiles. So that's going to increase how much you're getting, and will make this whole process a little bit easier on you for getting the loot that you need for your daily turn-ins. Okay, so the Dragon Scales increase base isolytic defense of the Monavine. So you're going to take less incoming damage and isolytic barrage. It's going to increase the damage of your ship against the hostiles with those Texas class hostiles. So you're going to have a big impact on the tier of your ship with its specialty ability. Increases its base damage by whatever percent against hostiles, the Texas class hostiles. But that research is going to help it all the more as you are able to perform that research. So this is the video, guys. Hope it's helpful. Hopefully it gives you an idea. Like I said in the beginning, I didn't want to give you just anything that would say, here's the crews I use, go use it. I want to give you kind of my thought process on why I use a certain type of crew with their abilities over others, and how you can kind of estimate or figure out without doing crazy math of, okay, I'll try this system, this system, this system. Just remember to beat it by the 2nd or 3rd round and you'll be golden. For me, I found that 48 was a good system for me. I could go to the 50 system and actually beat it in 3 rounds, but I was still getting hit every once in a while with a little bit more of those final weapons in that round hit, or it just went into the 4th round maybe just a little bit and I got a little bit extra damage there. So bottom line, you just want to find out the system that's going to work best for you to get you the loot you need to keep up with those turn-ins. If you found this video helpful today, hopefully you'll consider hitting that like, subscribe, and the bell notification so you can be reminded of when I come out with future videos. It really helps me to continue to bring out good content as we try and get this channel to grow, and I'm trying to share useful information with you guys, with everyone. So really appreciate all your support. I'm gonna put a link in the description below for the Discord channel I just set up. It just makes it a little bit easier for you guys to be able to see when I'm coming out with new videos, because I don't know, maybe you subscribe to a lot of different channels and you might miss it when I come out with a video. So this way I'm gonna have a specific channel just for the videos I release, so you can check that occasionally to see when I've posted a new video and keep up to date. If you also, lastly, I'll say this one last thing before I go. If you do happen to find a crew that works better for you, feel free to drop in the comments below. I'd love to hear if there's some other crew combination that you've come up with that works even better than the ones that I have come up with. Or if you have any comments or questions, feel free to let me know. And hopefully this is helpful. Anyways, have a good day, and we'll talk to you next time.